The challenge here is actually, if you're preparing it by yourself, the only challenge is to understand that the subject or syllabus as such is effectively only 17 chapters maximum. There can be no public administration paper without this topic. Either you will get a question on bureaucracy or you will get a question on max paper. That is a definite. That means what? When you reach this topic, you should give your maximum attention to it. A fused society is one where multi-functions are carried out by one single agency. Maybe let us say Shah Rukh Khan. You will see that they all came from not just middle class, probably even lower middle class families. But today where they are. Nobody knows them for their caste, color, creed, sex, nothing. They are known for their skill. Hello everybody. Welcome to Physics Wallah, OnlyIAS, UPSC, optional subject, public administration. So one of the question always is, with public administration, how to prepare? And is it a vast syllabus? It is not a scoring subject. All this you would have heard. Irrespective of which optional you choose, let me tell you, whether you have understood the optional, whether you have cracked the knack of writing the answer that the question is demanding, you will score marks in the optional, irrespective of what the market says or doesn't say. That is the first thing that I want to tell you. You will have these so-called experts coming and telling you this is not nice, that is not nice, etc., etc. If that was the case, 1 to 100 ranks should only be consisting of X optional, right? The top 100 ranks should be one particular optional only, or not 100, at least 50 ranks should be from that one optional. That is not the case. If you look at the top 100 ranks or top 50 ranks or the entire rank list, you will find it's a mixed bunch. And that is only because people who picked up their optional, they wanted to take it up because they felt they had a connection with it. They felt that they can do it. They found some topics interesting. So that is the only and should be the only reason that you choose an optional. Now let us say if you chose public administration as an optional, how will you go about it? Very briefly, let me tell you. Paper 1 of public administration is theory. And paper 2, if you actually see, you have current affairs, limited static portions that overlaps with polity from GS to mains. That is basically the union government, state government, rural local bodies, urban local bodies, district administration, judiciary, almost the entire polity of prelims, GS, you will find it in paper 2. Except for 2 chapters. One is Kautilyan administration and Mughal administration. Except for those 2 topics, the rest of the entire syllabus is largely related to current affairs. That is, one of the questions that had come was Swachh Bharat Mission in paper 2. I'm repeating it again, Swachh Bharat Mission in paper 2. They had asked a question on that. So it comes down to how well you are updated with your current affairs, number 1. And obviously you will be updated because 1 year you will be sitting and reading the newspaper or monthly current affair. But more than that, what is important is how well you are able to link theory with the current affair. If you are able to write your theory by validating, that is, if in paper 1 a question is asked with regard to public administration theory, you will explain what the theory is and you will validate it with an example. Example from where? It can be from anywhere, but preferably it should be from current affairs. What about paper 2? Paper 2, it will be the reverse. Largely, they will ask you questions from current affairs. You will have to explain it. But the only challenge here is you will have to validate it with what? Theory. From paper 1. And when you are, because if you don't validate it with theory, and if the question is asked on Swachh Bharat, you will end up writing it as a GS answer. This is the mistake that most students make. And then they will end up telling that it is very difficult to score marks in public administration. The reason is not that the paper is tough. The reason is that when you look at paper 2, you forget the fact that it is actually an optional paper. Whatever current affairs you are explaining, you will have to explain it with one or the other theory in paper 1. And most of the students end up writing it as what? As a GS paper. So your paper 2 should not look like a general studies paper. It should look like an optional paper. Clear? Now let us look at the other aspects. Very limited syllabus. 12 chapters from paper 1, 14 chapters from paper 2, making it a total of 26 chapters. At least some of you might be thinking, 26 chapters is limited. I agree. 26 chapters is too much of a number. Then why did I even say that it's a limited syllabus? Let us see that. For everything, there should be an explanation, right? This is paper 1, where you have 12 chapters, and paper 2, where you have 14 chapters. Observe. There is a color coding given here. Accountability and control, comparative public administration, personal administration, financial administration. Similar color coding to accountability and control you have union government and administration, plans and priorities, state government and administration. Then comparative public administration you have similar to that philosophical and constitutional framework of a government. For personal administration you have similar color coding with district administration since independence and civil services. For financial administration you have financial management. And then observe this, administrative reforms since independence, significant issues in Indian administration. That means, why have I color coded this? The color coding is only because accountability and control, if you look at the chapter in its largest form, the lion's share, it talks about legislative control, executive control, judicial control, etc. Barring a very few topics like role of media, citizens charter, RTI, the lion's share of this chapter overlaps with union government, state government, and to an extent plans and priorities. Not directly, but indirectly. That means what? This is actually just, this is not there. That means you can, this chapter you need not do it separately under paper 1. You may as well do it when you're doing paper 2. Doesn't make any difference. So that is out. Comparative public administration overlaps with this. That means take this one also out. Personal administration overlaps with that, which is district administration since independent, civil services. Financial administration overlaps with financial management. Topic wise I'm talking, subtopic wise. So already I have eliminated 4 chapters from paper 1 which has a direct correlation in paper 2. That is, whether you do it under paper 1, whether you do it under paper 2, it is not going to make much of a difference. So 4 chapters eliminated here. That means already 26 became 22. Administrative reforms since independence, significant issues in Indian administration, that also can be clubbed under 1. That means 5 down, 21 chapters. In plans and priorities, you need not study in detail about planning commission, 5-year plans, national development council, etc. The only focus area is actually just one and one body, that is NITI Aayog, and hardly few chapters. Which again, if I were to remind you, this is actually something which you would have already studied in your GS for prelims as well as for mains. NITI Aayog, its associated functions, etc. It is not something new. When we look into the other topics here, other topics when we take, again we will find subtopics overlapping with each other. That means effectively when you see, from 26 I already brought down into 5 chapters we can eliminate. It is already at 21. Effectively when you finally club the topics, etc., you will see that it comes to maximum of 17 chapters. 17 chapters, that's it. Beyond that, you don't have anything else. Effectively. So, The challenge here is actually, if you're preparing it by yourself, the only challenge is to understand that the subject or syllabus as such is effectively only 17 chapters maximum. With, if you really arrange all the topics, etc., according to the subtopics, like for example, like I told you, accountability and control. When you talk about legislative control, executive control, judicial control, automatically that comes under these subtopics only, these chapters only. So once you do that, your job becomes easy. Otherwise, if you go verbatim by the syllabus, you will end up getting confused. You will wonder that why this is getting repeated here, why that is going there. Case in point being, comparative public administration talks about comparing the public administration in different countries. Philosophical and constitutional framework of government also talks about comparing the constitutions of different countries. Only if you know what is the constitution of different countries, you will be able to understand what is the administrative practices in different countries. Correct? So this is what you need to do first. Analyze the topics, arranging it. Okay? So that you can cut short on the syllabus. And you can start with your work very quickly. This is where you should take time. Arranging it, resegregating it. Then start it off. Once you start it off, the next once you start it off, the next thing what you're going to do is you will visit the old question papers. You will do what? You will do a topic wise segregation. That is, each topic, how many times has it been asked directly? It could be a thinker, it could be a theory, it could be a current affair, anything. Anything that is asked more than once, you will make a table for it. And whichever question or topic has come maximum number of times, that is the frequency with which the topic has been asked. One classic example for that is Max Weber, bureaucracy. There can be no public administration paper without this topic. Either you will get a question on bureaucracy or you will get a question on Max Weber. That is a definite. That means what? When you reach this topic, you should give your maximum attention to it. Then there will be some topics which may have come just once, twice. Doesn't mean you can neglect it. One thing you should never do in UPSC is to skip topics. Never ever take that risk. Because somehow the topic exactly that you skip is the area from where UPSC will ask questions from. So never skip anything. But instead, based on the frequency, at least you can get to decide, okay, how much should I prepare this? How much in depth should I prepare it? Or is a surface level preparation enough? This is what you're going to do. Once you're done with this, then you can start your studies. Materials are available in the market. You may refer to, multiple sources here. So, so once you have arranged all the topics, then you start your preparation. So you have multiple books for this. Prasad and Prasad for the thinkers. You have so once you've arranged the topics, you can refer multiple sources for your preparation. You have Prasad and Prasad, you have for the thinkers, Mohit Bhattacharya for a general understanding of the entire public administration. Generally, most people don't recommend Mohit Bhattacharya's book, but I would recommend that one single book actually. If you are taking a PW's public administration classes, I only recommend that book. Others who are doing self-study, you may refer Prasad and Prasad, you may refer Lakshmikant's Polity, you may refer IGNOU notes and any other source that is available in the market. Let me be honest here, there is not a single source actually that you can go refer, pick up a book and say, all public administration is there in this. There is no such a book. There is no single such book like that. So you may have to refer multiple books for multiple topics. That is there. If you're taking PW class, only one book I tend to recommend, and that is Mohit Bhattacharya's New Horizons of Indian Administration, because the purpose is just to read it so that your understanding becomes a little more solid. That is the point. Now, just to give you a glimpse of how we take classes here, let me just introduce you to one topic here. FW Riggs, Fused, Diffracted, Prismatic Societies. So, what do you mean by this? That is, in any society if you take, okay, there are three aspects to which you can analyze it. Fused, diffracted, prismatic. So each one of this has its own set of feature. So fused means something where everything is gelled together. Just like a light. And then the light enters the prism and it slowly starts to break. And finally, when it comes out, it splits up. Correct? Single source of light coming into a prism and then splitting up. So, this is fused, this is prismatic, and this is diffracted. A fused society is one where multi-functions are carried out by one single agency. That is, imagine the India of 1947. The 5-year plans, 1951 to 56, 56 to 61, 61 to 66, so on and so forth. Second 5-year plan very clearly says the Indian government will, what is it, dominate the or have the commanding heights of the economy. That is, government is at the peak of everything, at the top of everything. Government itself is doing everything, including what? Manufacture or baking of bread. Even that is under the control of government. That is what a fused society is. Prismatic society is one where slowly now private players have also started coming in. Slowly. Does not emerge out completely, but slowly. And a diffracted society is where you have specialists. You have actually what? Specialized functions. Everybody have just one job to do. If you look at the current government also, this is what the government is also trying to do. Specific function from a specific body. No multifunctionalism and all. One job you have, you do it. ED, money laundering. NIA, terrorist financing. And terror related things. So each body has a specific job to do. It is not a multifunctional role anymore. I hope you got a basic idea of it. I know you may be having questions also, but once we discuss the features, things will become more easy. Let us see this now. Riggs has classified societies under his revised typology on the basis of the level of differentiation and the level of integration. So, level of integration and level of differentiation. Differentiation simply means the specialization. Each body is specialized for something. Like NIA is there, ED is there. Okay? But the best part about it is NIA comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. ED comes under Ministry of Finance. Two different ministries, two different bodies. So ideally there should be some amount of clash. That clash is not there. Why? Because there is perfect integration between NIA and ED. This is the symbol for integration. Victims of engineering as well as those people who would have taken maths in their 12th standard will be remembering it. For others, this is the symbol of integration used in maths. Don't use it in public administration, just for your understanding. That means there is no conflict between NIA and ED. Why? Because there is complete coordination or integration. Because the moment ED gets to know that even 1 rupee has come through terror funding or has gone for terror funding, they call in the NIA. The moment NIA gets to know that some aspect of money has been laundered or there is unaccounted wealth, they alert the ED. Therefore, they complement each other and work. So let us take it forward. Riggs does not use the term developing or developed nations or societies in his fused prismatic diffracted typology. He is of the view that the term developed or developing nations are too general and do not reflect his notion of classifying societies on the basis of differentiation, integration, relationship. Even today, I don't know how many of you know this, what makes a country developed or what makes a country developing? How do you decide it? Actually, the countries themselves declare it. Riggs was not comfortable with this usage because he never found it to be like making it sensible, at least according to him. So he wanted to define societies on the basis of what? On the basis of differentiation and integration. That means to what extent you have specialization in the economy, in the society, diffraction, and to what extent things are coordinated. So generally when you see in a democracy, you will have more of what? Diffraction. Everybody having their own role. Legislature has legislature's role, executive's role, judiciary's role. Correct? But if you go to a dictatorship country, let's say Libya under Muhammad Gaddafi, or for that matter Iraq under Saddam Hussein, generally when they walk in, they'll have all these ribbons and medals and all that. Who is the supreme commander of the army? Gaddafi. Who is the supreme general? Gaddafi. Who is the supreme this, supreme that? So everything at the topmost level, all the major portfolios, all the major ministries are headed by one single person. Multifunctionality. Whereas in a diffracted society, you have specialization. Like National Security Advisor we have an external affairs minister is different. We have a raw chief. We have an IB chief. We have a prime minister. We have a prime minister's office, each having clearly what their functions are. Correct? Let us take it up a little more forward. Fused society features. It is a traditional society where old structures exist. Like I told you, we are talking about an old society where maybe you will even be able to see not just a dictator, but maybe even a king there. Most structures are multifunctional. That is, one structure performs a large number of functions. Where? In a fused model. Like I told you, the examples of Saddam Hussein and Muhammad Gaddafi is the perfect example for it. Status and privileges in society are determined by birth or traditional status. Traditionally, father was a farmer, so son also became a farmer. That is the idea. So that the traditions are followed. The emphasis is on tradition in a fused society. So nobody questions things. Certain specific groups in society gain preferred treatment and status in society. Definitely, the ones who are closer to the ruling class, they are valued more than the ones who are not so close. There is very low mobility in terms of status and occupations. Low mobility in terms of status and occupations. The social structure and occupations are rigid since they are based on birth and time-honored conventions. What do you mean by low mobility in terms of status and occupation? That means you cannot change who you are. It is almost like the caste identity. Once you are born to a particular caste, no matter whatever you do, you are always identified by that caste. Not anymore. It is not that bad in India anymore. But still, if you achieve tremendous success, crack UPSC, etc., your caste becomes secondary. Because from that point onwards, everybody will only call you as Collector Saab or Collector Ma'am. Clear, people? Let's move forward. So that is what a fused society is. Diffracted society. Diffracted means what? The light has completely split up and there is specialization now. Let us see its features. It has a very high level of specialization. There is a high level of integration in these societies. Thus, there is hardly any gap existing between the levels of specialization and integration. Like I told you, ED is there, NIA is there, CBI is there, Vigilance Commission is there, IB is there, RAW is there. Each body has its own function, but at the same time, they are all integrated and cooperating with each other. I'll take another example and give you. Just like, let us say, GST is there and the income tax department is there. Even there is complete integration between the two, coordination. That is, these days, if you see, you would have observed it in the newspaper also, that income tax collection is also picking up. GST is also picking up. GST picking up clearly shows that economy is on the uphill. Economy is literally going upwards. It is growing. When you talk about what is the coordination here, GST data that is collected is exchanged with income tax department. So income tax department gets to know who among you, businessmen or businesswomen, have made money this year. And based on that, they can put a direct tax on you. Getting the idea? What is your income that you earn through the business? So there is coordination today between GST and income tax. And that is the reason why GST collections are also increasing, income tax collections are also increasing. Got the picture here? This is the way you should study. If I were to simply read this statement and tell it to you, that anybody can do. But when you relate it with the current affair that is there, it becomes easy. Now the matter remains inside your head. You don't even have to by heart this. Fused means everything clubbed together. Gave the example of Iraq and Libya. Diffracted means what? Everything is specialized, but there is a high level of integration or coordination as well. There is equity among social groups with no group enjoying special preferences and privileges. That means everybody are treated equally. There is complete rule of law. There is considerable mobility in status and occupations. People can move from one occupation to the other. Absolutely true. That is, you can decide what should be your status. You can literally, irrespective of what is your caste, class, from which background you came. If you look at, say for example, what was the background of Virat Kohli, what was the background of Sachin Tendulkar, or what was the background of maybe let us say Shah Rukh Khan, you will see that they all came from not just middle class, probably even lower middle class families, but today where they are. Nobody knows them for their caste, color, creed, sex, nothing. They are known for their skill. Clear? Moving forward, progress in the socio-economic system is based on merit and performance. The administrative system functioning in diffracted society is called bureau. Why bureau? Because it is having a specific job. It is not doing too many things. One specific task is there or a specific function is there. Clear? Moving on. Prismatic society features. So we basically saw what happens, what are the features of a fused society. Then we saw what are the features of a diffracted society, where everything is specialized. But what about a society where that is neither fully fused nor fully diffracted? Getting the idea? Classic example is the Indian society itself. That is, even when we are celebrating a Virat Kohli, a Sachin Tendulkar, a Shah Rukh Khan, people whom we are all loving and admiring, irrespective of their personal identities. At the same time, caste, religion is a reality in India. Caste-based killings are a reality in India. Religion-based killings are also a reality in India. Just because somebody loved somebody from a lower caste or upper caste or another religion, murders have taken place in our country even in 2023. So these realities still exist. That means somewhere things are still fused. Somewhere things are little diffracted. So let us see now how prismatic society features will function. And yes, I agree. I will also agree with this. Most societies, if you actually see, tends to exhibit prismatic society features. Most. Let us go into that now. Selectivism. This is an intermediate category between universalism and particularism. Under a prismatic system, certain groups, though larger in number than in a few society, gain precedence over the less privileged groups. Certain groups gain precedence over the less privileged groups. Some groups are given some more attention than the rest. It could be caste based, religion based, language based, region based, etc. Say, for example, the state government of Haryana passed a law giving some percentage of reservation for the OBCs. Judiciary immediately stepped in and struck it down. So these things can happen. And observe again how I gave the example. State government of Haryana or the state of Haryana. Even if it is your home state, when you write a UPSC answer or when you answer it in the interview, you will always address it as the state of Haryana, the state of Kerala, the state of Nagaland. That is the way you are supposed to speak, even if it is your home state. In the event you are going to talk about the country, you will say my country, our country. You are not going to call it as India. Why? You are already inside India. Why will you call it as India? Getting the point? This is the way you are supposed to use the language. You should only feel affiliation and sentiments towards the country, not towards your own state. Clear? Attainment. This is an intermediate category between ascription and achievement, implying that in a prismatic society, merit as well as traditional status, that is based on birth, caste, etc., determine the movement of a person to a higher level. That means both exist here. Attainment means what? Merit is also there. What is it? Traditional status is also there. Now, a best example for this is what? The nepotism that we can see in the film industry, the nepotism that we can see even in politics. Just because father did something, somebody is able to come and take up a post directly. At the same time, you also have people rising up with their own merit and achievement. This also you can witness. Polyfunctionalism. This is an intermediate category between functional specification and functional diffuseness. Diffuseness means multiple functions for a single person. It implies that in a prismatic society, the level of specialization is much larger than found in a few society, but less than what is prevalent in diffracted society. That means specialization is there. Specialization is there. But the only problem is, it is more than fused, but less than diffracted. That means still you may have some bodies doing multiple roles or multiple jobs. Getting the idea? Still you may have. The administrative system of a prismatic system is called sala, meaning a room or office in Spanish language, not Hindi sala. A sala shares the features of prismatic society. It may be mentioned that in the agrarian industrial typology, there was a detailed analysis of agrarian as well as industrial society, but only a marginal reference was made to Transitia. In the fused prismatic diffracted society, the focus is on prismatic society, while the analysis of fused and diffracted societies is in brief. Likewise, there is an inadequate description of the court of a fused society and the bureau of a diffracted society. Agraria Industria typology was the first typology given by F.W. Riggs. And then once he understood that Agraria Industria model is not good enough to explain the whole differences in the different types of administrative systems that are there, he abandoned it. And after abandoning it, he had brought this fused prismatic diffracted society. Okay. So what was that, etc. If you need to know, means you will have to sit in my class. But otherwise also you can refer the textbook, you can get the information from there. All right. So I hope you understood how to prepare. Don't simply try to by heart the theory, you will forget it. Always connect it with an example, because it's public administration after all. It is very easy. All you have to have is an eye for the detail. Once you get the example, it becomes very easy. Through the example, if you study the theory, it will be etched in your memory forever. And it becomes easier for you when you read the newspaper to pick out examples as, okay, this example I can use it for public administration. Clear, people? So with that, we come to an end of our session. Any questions or queries that you have, please put it up in the comment section. All right. Have a fantastic day. Take care.